Corp PC has been completely rebooted, and in the live log we see some reflections of the interactions that have occurred up to this point. Begin starting off with this particular entry. In fact, let's create a little bit of a filter to hide just the Corp PC MAC address, and we can see that we have an initial MAB authentication attempt which has failed. This is because we don't have that MAC address added to our internal identity endpoint data store. We can see an authentication with admin, which we did when we initially accessed the machine, and as soon as we fired up the 8021X supplicant, it attempted to log in with that local machine account. And then subsequent to the reboot, we see that the machine has identified itself as w7pccorp.demo.local, and we matched a wired 8.1x authentication policy, domain computers authorization, and provide a domain computers authorization profile. And then finally, this session related information. This would be the network access device receiving the contents of the DACL. Let's go back and validate that our authorization has been successful for WPC7 Corp. And in this case, we'll log into a domain account. You can see that we are a domain member computer, and the account that we're typing in is a domain account. Just to make sure our NIC comes up authenticated, we see that we've got internet access from the perspective of the domain computer. And if you'll recall, our authorization policy was limiting access to particular networks, in this case the quarantine network. Let's do our quick ping test here. And with authorization on employees, we disallowed access to the quarantine network, which was the 10.1.30. And here we're pinging the gateway IP address for that, which actually resides on the 3K access switch that we're currently accessing. And we can see that we're not able to reach that. The other network that we were trying to create policy around was the AP network. In this case, we allowed employees to access the AP network, and we see the positive results of that. Okay, now let's investigate things from the perspective of the wired access switch. And here we can do a show command which will reflect the authentication status of the interface that the Corp PC is connected to. And we'll do the detail screen to see the authorizations that were provided. So here we can see on G101 that we have authenticated with demo employee 1, and that the status of that session is authorized. And we can see that we delivered as part of that authorization our ACL employee DACL, which the iOS NAD has prefixed and suffixed with its own values to make it a unique session-based access list. And we can see finally at the bottom that we have authentication success with .1x. Now for the final part of our test, let's return to the Corp PC and log out as employee, and we'll log back in as the contractor user. And we see that we've got a valid NIC session in place currently. And we'll do a similar test as we did with the employee to verify network access. And as a reminder, in the case of the contractor authorization profile, we disallowed access to both the quarantine networks and the AP network. So we should have lack of success for both of these tests. In this case, yes, we see a lack of success, TTL expired, not being able to reach that particular IP. And we should see similar negative impacts for the 90, which would be the AP network. And so our authorization appears to be valid from the perspective of the client PC itself. We can go back and review information within the live log, and we can see a transition. We logged in as employee 1, and then as we logged out as employee 1, the Corp computer logged itself back in. And then we logged in as contractor 1, which matched our authentication policy and the desired authorization policy and delivered the correct authorization profile for that. Okay, and just to review, we successfully accomplished wired access testing for our wired clients and wired endpoints, and saw the positive results both within the live log as well as on the network access device and the endpoint client PC, Corp PC itself.